We did it all wrong. Our email marketing could have been better. I'm Sean, the Tech Gremlin Warrior, and today I want to talk about something that Dan and I over at Zero to Income would have maybe done a little bit differently, a lot differently, if we had known then what we now know about email marketing and domain reputation. Specifically, I think what we would have done is gone and set up a completely separate domain that we use for all of our marketing, automations, et cetera, from day one. Now, before you go and panic, don't go panicking if you're thinking, I've only got one domain, that's all I've been using. That's okay. I want you to think about this as reducing long-term risk and protecting your primary domain, all right? So let that sink in a little bit. One domain is not automatically bad. Many businesses use one domain. We've used one domain for the last 4 years. When I say one domain, we've got zerotoincome.com, and that is all we've used for the last 4 years, and we've not had any issues. All right. Many marketers use subdomains. That's a level of protection. We're going to go into that here in a minute. I want you to think about this as reducing long-term risk. Think about this as an insurance policy. All right. So here's what we did. All right. From day one, we had zerotoincome.com. Again, not a big deal. All right. That's our website. From that website, we send our newsletters. We send our marketing emails. We run our automations. Everything is under that one domain. All right. But there's a problem to this. Not necessarily always, but there could be problems that come up. Okay. And some of the things that might come up is we might have spam complaints. When you get a spam complaint, boom, that's a hit on your reputation. That's a hit on your domain's reputation. We could have poor engagement. Again, that's going to affect your reputation. You could have a bad email list. And what I mean by that is you could have emails that are no longer current. All right. They're no longer valid email addresses. And so when you send to them, they bounce. And that is a major hit to your reputation. All right. You could be running aggressive campaigns. You could be having deliverability problems. And again, that's going to damage your reputation. So even if you're doing everything correctly, problems can still come up over time. Okay. So there are ways of kind of minimizing the effects of these problems. And the first level of protection, again, is what many marketers will recommend and do, and that is having a subdomain. So what does that mean? If we're, again, using the idea of zerotoincome.com as our example, we could have created a subdomain. We could have used news.zerotoincome.com. Again, this is completely free. If you own a domain, you can set up a subdomain completely free under that domain that you own. And this kind of separates things. You have now your main domain that you use for your business for kind of the front end. And then you have your subdomain that you use for all your marketing purposes, automations, campaigns, and whatnot. So if there is ever a hit in the future and there is some damage to your reputation, that damage is only being done to the subdomain, not to your main domain. So this is better than using what they call your root domain or your main domain directly. Okay. Level 2 protection is using a completely separate domain. Okay. And this is the highest level of protection, if you will. And an example of this would be, again, with Zero to Income, we could have learnzerotoincome.com. It's a whole new domain that we're paying for, completely separate from Zero to Income. Another example, try to see a bookkeeping.com. I own a bookkeeping business. To see a bookkeeping.com is my main website. And if I was going to be doing some hardcore marketing, I could have a completely different domain name, and I would go and buy try to see a bookkeeping.com. And then another example, weavercreekplumbing.com. That's my fictitious business that I use for all the bookkeeping type stuff. If I ever want to create videos around bookkeeping, I can use this fictitious business. And again, an example would be getweavercreekplumbing.com. Completely different, completely separate than Weaver Creek Plumbing. Okay. So what does this do as far as strategy-wise? Okay, why this strategy? What is the benefits of this strategy? It protects your primary brand, okay? It keeps the reputation of your main website intact and protects it, all right? You have a much cleaner separation between your main website and your marketing website, all right? This is going to also mean easier management of that marketing website. All right. So this is going to be helpful for aggressive campaigns if you're running more aggressive campaigns. And again, this is a very useful insurance policy that you can kind of incorporate into your business. So don't panic if you're only using one domain. All right. Like I've mentioned, we've been using one domain for the last 4 years and it's been fine. And you're probably fine. All right. Many businesses operate this way. And many businesses operate this way for 10, 15, 20 years. All right. I don't want you to think this is an emergency. You have to go out and do this right away, right after you watch this video. It's just something to consider going forward, or something to consider if you're watching this video before you've even started your business. All right. Any other new businesses that I start, this is going to be part of kind of my standard SOPs from day one. All right. So if you're thinking about, okay, I need to purchase a separate domain, where should I purchase those domains? We use cloudflare.com. Very affordable. All right. You're getting them at wholesale pricing. You're getting them at their cost. All right. A .com domain for me is right around $10.50 a year. All right. You're not going to find much better than that. It's easy DNS management. All right. The security is amazing. It's got good security for even the free version of Cloudflare. They do have paid versions of Cloudflare. I've only used ever in like 20 years of doing websites. I've only used the free version. Okay. And if you've watched my other video on setting up a free Zoho mail, the email setup is stupid easy. Okay. So some things to kind of keep in mind as we wrap this up. And that is, if you're building a business long term, you might want to consider separating your marketing identity. All right. And again, get a separate domain name just for your marketing that's going to protect your main domain. Okay. It's going to protect your main business identity. Again, this is something that I wish I had learned years ago, but I just now learned this. And I think it's helpful for all of us to kind of keep in mind as we are moving forward and as we create other businesses. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching.